Hi, my name is Sarah, and this is A Different View. This is Treasure Island. This is San Francisco behind me. Sometimes you get the best view of the city from the other side of the water. Sometimes you get the best view of a story from when you're sitting on the outside. Sometimes I think America is like Treasure Island. We're on the outside, and we get the best view when we're on the outside. I think too many Americans forget this. I've never really thought much about free speech until recently because I'm an American and free speech was always my birthright. Free speech is all of our birthrights if we're American. It hasn't been questioned for over 230 years. We have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly in this country. But right now in 2020, big tech is trying to censor us. Behind me in San Francisco, the titans of big tech don't really seem to believe we should have free speech anymore. They don't really believe that we should be individuals anymore. And I have a problem with that because America has always been about individuals and individualism. We're not really about political parties or mobs or groups. We're about individuals who all have individual rights, but we have shared values. And I think our values are under attack right now. Censorship is not an American thing. It shouldn't be an American thing, and it never really was an American thing until just a few months ago. And just last week, it became really obvious that big tech doesn't really believe we should be able to tell real stories anymore. They're okay with porn. They're okay with advertisements. They're weirdly okay with fake news. But in the middle of October of 2020, the New York Post broke the biggest political story in America in about 100 years. There hasn't been a scandal like this since Teapot Dome, and even Teapot Dome, which was back in the 1920s, wasn't as big as this. The New York Post broke the Hunter Biden laptop story, and if you don't know what that is, well, big tech probably censored it. So go and read the New York Post. Read the New York Post for the last, 8 days or something. If you don't know what the New York Post is, I should probably tell you. It isn't the Washington Post, and it isn't the New York Times. The New York Post is a working man's paper. It has been for a really long time in New York. It's well over 100 years old. When my dad was a kid, he delivered the New York Post. I remember reading the New York Post, or looking at the pictures. They always had the best headlines. They were always kind of scrappy. They covered baseball and mob funerals and gangland killings. They chased headlines. The better the headline, the more newspapers they could sell. And they were in the business of selling papers, so they chased the best headlines out there. The New York Times was always more gentlemanly. It was genteel. They never had cartoons or, racy headlines, and they ignored the fact that, mobsters are a part of New York, too. They were never a working man's paper, but the Post was. And this month of October 2020, the New York Post scooped the entire mainstream media. They broke the biggest story in the world, and the mainstream media ignored it. Worse, big tech, the titans of Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all those other things, they censored the Post. They kept people from sharing that story because they didn't think we should share stories that, aren't the stories they want us to hear. And that is scarier than the scandal the New York Post is writing about right now, because big tech shouldn't have the power to shut us down. Big tech shouldn't have the power to tell us what we can talk about, what we can share, what we can think about. I think it's kind of outrageous that right now in San Francisco, it's okay for the big tech titans to censor a newspaper that's older than any living American, but it isn't okay to go to church, because guess what? Right now in San Francisco, you can't go to church inside because, we have a pandemic. You can buy pot, you can gamble, but you can't go to church and you can't read the New York Post. And that's a problem, because I don't want to live in a world where my First Amendment freedoms are chipped away at by people who were never elected to anything. Because I don't think anybody actually elected the titans of big tech to, tell us what to think and what to talk about. And I'm pretty sure that no one stopped the First Amendment this year. I think I would have heard about that. Or, well, maybe not, because big tech doesn't like us to talk about these things anymore. But I think we have a problem if we can't talk about things that are real. And we can only talk about, surreal things or, celebrity news. Because that isn't America. America is about free speech. And if free speech is under attack, America is under attack. If free speech is under attack, America is under attack. And if America is under attack by big tech, we're under attack by everyone. And I don't think that's something we should stand for.